Sure. Just welcome to anyone who is new. Uh, you're in the same situation as us. If you're here, you have a loved one in long-term care, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's a senior age person. It can be, an adult child. It could be a pediatric person. I think that's where we're trying to educate people too, is to know that it's not just nursing homes, it's all long-term care facilities. And we're advocating for our loved ones who are living in isolation and with these restrictive visitation rules. Yes, we want them to be safe, but we realize that a year is long enough for this to go on. And so we need to work as a group to, advocate for, we're trying to get a state law passed. So, and we've got a lot on our plates right now with, we're going to go over a lot tonight, and I think that's great that we have lots going on. It shows that we're an active group, and it takes a lot of people to keep this wheel turning. And I'm just glad that we have all you guys here tonight. So just welcome, and we're all in this together, and we'll get through it.
So we're going to go with the yellow envelopes, and that's you, Jill.
We started doing the graphics for this yellow envelope letter campaign to send letters to CMS and our governor, as well as coordinating with other groups in other states, trying to share some of this. We started posting information up on the web. Was it last Sunday? It seems like, a month ago, but hasn't been that long. We have templates of all the various letters, meaning the letter to CMS, the letter to the governor. Actually, there's two. Is there two letters now for the?
Yes.
Or just one letter, but two addresses?
It's all the same address. And originally our thought was that send an address to both people, and it will work, but they're both in two different actual departments, even though they work together. So somebody's like, well, maybe we should split it out. So that's where that, but in the end, as long as one of the two of them get it, if not both, that's the important part.
And we have two versions for people that are just want to download it, print it out, sign it, and send it off, and another version where you could add a little bit of your personal story. I suppose another option is just to kind of see what ours are and then write your whole letter yourself if you wanted to. So we've been posting all this with all the download information, or the links to the download location. There's been a whole series of these posts. We've been doing it like 3 times a day. I think starting Friday or Saturday, it'll just go to like 2, because the goal for mailing them out is March 1st through 3rd, so that they will all arrive around the same time. That's the goal, to hold the letter, prepare it, but hold it until March 1st through 3rd, mail it, so that we're trying to get them to arrive around March 8th through 12th, which then goes into the Springfield Paint Illinois yellow. What about if we selected the basic things and attached them for another email blast? Do you go out to all the members that you have emails for?
And people could also custom write their own letters. They don't have to use the templates either.
Right.
So something that was suggested to me this afternoon, so the letters to our governor, anything you send in Illinois to anybody, that we ask that they require IDPH to enforce CMS's guidelines. Because in the end of the day, really, especially, anything that takes federal money, they're obligated to CMS guidelines. But if IDPH doesn't enforce it, in other words, essential care, or no, I'm sorry, in other words, compassionate care, it's useless. Even if you're handwriting anything, you're adding anything, please ask. Please make IDPH enforce CMS guidelines, because there's the caveat that everything still keeps falling under is, well, it's up, the facilities still get to make their own rules per se, because IDPH gives them that clause, but CMS holds them accountable, at least to compassionate care, if the state will enforce it.
Well, and isn't that one of the, in the letters, the template letters really have two asks. The one is that current guidelines, both federal and state, are simply followed, not just in terms of essential care and compassionate care, but also infection control, that they follow the guidelines that are there, and that they come up with some additional guidelines that actually acknowledge the fact that, the vaccine has been given to so many residents and that everybody's had the opportunity to have it. So those are that's kind of part of the ask in the letter.
Right.
Maybe
It's
it could be
it's
more
right
some
here.
people might feel like it should be more forceful, perhaps.
These are just our suggestions of how they do it.
Mhm. Could I ask a question maybe to the people that haven't been, I guess, as busy with this as some of us have been the last few weeks? So like Patricia, or I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you get what the yellow, how to do the yellow campaign from the posts and stuff? Does that all make sense to you? Or do you feel like there's something else we could do to make it more clear? Or anybody that.
No, it's making sense to me. I was working on my letter today, actually, so.
Okay,
Good.
Yeah, no, the step-by-step guidelines and everything. What gets confusing to me is what you guys were just talking about, how the IDPH needs to enforce CMSC guide. That gets all twisted in my head. But the letter writing and
yeah.
where it goes and all that, the yellow envelope, we're good with.
So the short answer to that, Patricia, CMS writes the guidance, the original guidance.
at a federal level.
And anybody who takes federal money, any facility, so usually the ones that don't is assisted living, memory care, anyone that's private pay. Usually those facilities don't take any federal dollars. If they don't, they're not mandated to follow CMS's guidance. But IDPH, thank God, better than most of the other states, has said we are following CMS. So our guidance does follow CMS, except for that we have essential care, which is not part of CMS. The problem is getting it enforced, because you have these facilities that are saying, no, I'm not going to let you do essential care. No, I'm not going to do compassionate care. Or I read guidelines from a facility today, they're allowing for essential, but they're not allowing people to do any physical assistance with essential.
Let me just get this straight. So the IDPH for my mother-in-law's in assisted living, they're following the CMS guidelines. So then her assisted living should be following those then for compassionate care then.
Yes.
Basically. Okay. Because I'm writing letters for compassionate care too. So, okay.
The
Right.
kind of part of the problem is too, is it's all guidance. It's not,
Mhm.
it's not, there's no teeth to it if they decide they're not going to follow it. So I don't know, from experience, it seems like as a group, we've run across facilities, they don't even know what the guidance is. And then sometimes you get somewhere with insisting, but then there's some that just say, well, we're not doing that part, and there's not a lot of.
Right, and that's
you
where
get to the point where you're stuck, and that's what part of what we're asking them to, the state and federal to do is provide some consistency.
And that's where the bill that we're trying to get moved to the floor will help too.
Yeah. I think that's where the problem is. I think these assisted living long-term care or whatever, then at the local level, they're saying, no, we're not doing it. And they're not letting us go beyond. So that's where we're at too. We just had a meeting with them today and they're like, we're still on lockdown, no matter what. We're still on.
Is it a corporate owned?
Yes.
So you need to go over the facilities head and go to corporate.
Okay, that's what we're sort of talking. I was reading about that when I was reading the letter. So we do need to go over their heads then, huh?
The key to this idea that I wanted to ask you guys about is that we could attach
Attach
the
it.
files
Yeah.
instead of having people try to download. And we could even put into the email that simple 1, 2, 3 step PDF.
I can send an email out following this meeting to everybody that literally has all those attached, each of the options.
And
Uh,
I did forward the newsletter like email that we sent out to the ombudsman's office, to the Pioneer Coalition, asking if they would help forward that, and to the person that's in charge of the Murray Center Parent Organization, and she has access to all of the 7 state facilities, and she was gonna send out information to all of those people about the letter writing too.
Tammy, would you mind taking off with the Capitol gathering for us, please?
Yeah. So the gathering at the Capitol is going to be the 12th. It's set to start at 11. But people are going to be there around 8:30 to start putting the signs in the lawn area. So with hundreds of signs to put out, if anybody can be there early to help with that, that's great. Either way, if you can be there by 11, exactly how long we stay somewhat depends immensely on the weather. If it was like it was today in Springfield, it's 52 degrees, we could be there for quite some time. If it's like last Thursday, we probably would be there for about an hour. But I think at least for a couple hours. We're hoping media be there. I imagine if they're there, because they know it starts at 11, they're going to be there within the first hour. The legislature is not really in session, so we'll go out in the mail tomorrow, have letters to all the Senate and House, telling them that we'll be there and asking them or inviting them to come if they can. But without them truly in town, I don't see, hopefully a couple will, but I don't see it being many.
And we're gonna start keeping up to date in anything ongoing changes within that event to try to, and also we'll send it out via email for those that aren't on Facebook.
Yeah. So yeah, and through the Facebook event thing, we'll try to put hints or stuff about parking. I know around there's street parking meters, which will have to be, plugged by then. I think next week, they're going to start like charging on downtown meters again. But there's no on the other side of the Capitol, there's some like public, just space parking, but it's going to be, that's just the way downtown Springfield is if you're familiar with it. But I know the Capitol building, we won't be able to go there for the restroom. I've got to kind of look around downtown and think about where that, but anyway, little stuff like that we'll try to put in the Facebook events, just in the about section. If you have any questions about that, or put it out on the Facebook post, and I'll try to find out the answer if I can.
And just so you guys from Chicago know, the meters in downtown Springfield do not take credit cards. They are true meters that take change.
Yeah, they take true change, real stuff.
Mhm.
So anybody that can, like Fran's got a picture up here of her son, make a sign with a picture, anything like that you want to do would be fabulous. We do have some buttons that have the Caregivers for Compromise Illinois on them that we'll hand out till those are gone. We have Peggy made like a half card sort of about info thing that we'll have there to hand out, like if anybody's walking by or whatever, or if anybody that is there wants it.
You guys see this?
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have a good showing. And we've had some discussions about what to do during that 2 hours or so, like how to So Jill had a great idea to do like a testimonial, short testimonials from people. Like if anybody that's there wants to say, you know, my mother passed away from COVID. The last 8 months of her life were the saddest in her 82 years. And, or whatever your story is, if you want to do that. We've talked about talking points, like if the media is there and you have the opportunity to say something, like what are some of those key words. And Fran and I were talking right before we started. I think I might try to type something on a piece of paper, just everybody can share that morning. And I guess what I'm worried about is sort of that, you know, when somebody's in front of you and says, well, what do you think of this situation? All of a sudden you can't think of a thing to say. And there's a whole bunch of stuff to say. And so really a lot of that stuff is in the letters that we've written and the other, you know, outreach things that we've kind of been developing over the past few weeks. So we'll try to have something like that. And it's a little bit on that half card too that I was talking about that Peggy made. The signs are yellow. So we've asked if you have something yellow. Of course, it's weather dependent, you know, depending on what the weather's like. But if you have something yellow to wear, you might keep that in mind. If you know any media contacts, anybody that you can reach out to, my theory on that personally has been if I throw 10 darts, maybe one of them will actually hit the center. I think we're pretty confident that we have a local Channel 20, you know, person will be there because she's been attentive through all this with us. So somebody said they thought they had a line on a PA system. As far as I know, we do not have any kind of speaker PA system.
One way or the other, I will have one when we go to Springfield.
Okay.
Or if anyone else that's on here has access to it.
Right, to a battery operated PA or, you know, something with a microphone.
Something with a microphone. So
one of the things we are going to do is randomly we'll be going around and I'll just be doing some Facebook Lives with people. Quick, hi, who are you? And why are you here? And your loved one, maybe, kind of things. So, and we're going to stream it live to our group page.
I bought, I have 50 yellow masks.
oh yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
And I've got a lot of yellow fabric, and I've got 18 fabric masks that are beautiful yellow
Good.
cut out. And
Thank
Good.
you.
So
That's awesome.
one of the groups has from one of the other states actually had masks made, and the only thing it says on them is when and a question mark.
huh.
I can bring fabric or paint pens that dry very quickly. It's as bullet pointed as isolation kills too.
Yeah.
You know, when, that's all we want to know. When are we going back to normal?
Mm-hmm.
So I can bring those too.
Like, just to recap real quick for what Tammy said was check out the event page and we'll send any really pertinent stuff via email, and through the this gathering, the Zoom email will also include a lot of extras. So, old business. Facebook profile frame. I don't know if those of you on Facebook are familiar that you can add a frame to your photos. It's in the comments, but I noticed that the hyperlink is broken now in it, so I'll try to redo it. It's in our announcements at the top of the page. On Facebook, I don't know if you're aware, in the group along the top, you can select announcement, discussion, there's files, media, and things like that. And also on our Facebook group page, everything is tagged so you can search by topic. Like if you want to look for media, you can look at media or Zoom. So those are some ways Facebook allows to organize so you can search for things. So we're asking everyone to add that Facebook profile frame. And then hashtags, once again, it's the easiest way to draw awareness and to unite our voices on social media by drawing all of our comments together, because everything that's tagged isolationskillstoo hashtag LTC Reunite Families and hashtag caregiversforcompromiseil. If you search that, it will bring up every post that has that tag in it. Anytime you're sharing your loved one's story, if you add any of those tags, it will then populate it into, and I know that the top one is being used by the national page. That's the name of the page.
This one is just isolationkillstoo. All the different groups that have events going on for the anniversary have stuff on here. It's gonna try to work as a clearinghouse for all the states and all the different organizations. It's not every state is Caregivers for Compromise. And some states have multiple groups going. And every day we're finding out about more states that are actually doing events, which is good. The information for the yellow letter campaigns on here. A lot of other states are doing the lawn signs. The different groups are also doing their email blasts, but the really strong event that will help us all in the end, we hope, is this webinar on the evening of March 10th. Dr. Candace Kemp, I personally don't know much about. I know she's out of Georgia State, and they said she's a phenomenal speaker. But Toby Edelman, who will be speaking, actually was on the group of people who wrote the 1987 Nursing Home Reform Act. She will be there speaking, and so will Evan Shulman from CMS. And from what I'm being told, these two ladies have no problem challenging what Evan Shulman has to say. He agreed to let us submit the hard questions and he would answer them. So I know that there's been some very specific questions asked of him to have answers for. So hopefully, that helps get us information. So we were trying to get states to lower flags, but Illinois has had their flags lowered through COVID anyway. And on top of that, Illinois has very strict guidelines on what they'll lower them for. They wouldn't do it for this. Down on the bottom is just the different groups that are all participating. And on Saturday, the guys from Kohler will be doing a Facebook Live event streaming from Kohler in New York, which is on Roosevelt Island. And it'll be the third event they've done. And they're very interesting to listen to. And they have a very different perspective than the rest of us. Because these are all younger people in care facilities because they've either had a traumatic injury, a gunshot wound, etc. And they were in the heart of this. And that is where New York was dumping residents and telling people that Kohler was empty, that it was fine, they could use it for just COVID because Kohler was empty when there was already 200 residents there. And this website will just keep getting added stuff, or if nothing else, as everyone uses Isolation Kills Too and all the rest, hopefully people, when they start Googling and looking, they can also find this and find some other additional information.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that March 10th webinar. I hope it meets that expectation. It'll be nice it's really unique to get that kind of one-on-one from somebody like Shulman,
Yes.
The sign campaign, have the signs arrived, Carrie?
Yes. My garage is full.
Okay.
I need to get with Fran over the next couple of days and look at them and decide, ooh, can we actually get them all to Springfield by ourselves or do we need help? But we'll figure that out too.
Yeah.
We should be able to, because my van, I'm just putting my power chair in and the rest.
Okay, and I think so too, once all my seats are down and everything too. If it's actually 60 degrees on Saturday, I might do my whole front garden signs for a week, because why not?
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's anybody new that doesn't know about the sign campaign or what it's for, but Frank, can you put one of those pictures back up, like of Texas or somewhere, if you have one?
Yeah, I'm grabbing one right now.
So through a GoFundMe and a lot of generosity, we have about 400 signs, yard signs, that look like
I gotta get
this.
the-
And at the Capitol, they'll be on the lawn beside the statue. There's lawn on each side. And then after that, the plan is to have them travel the state, and fill a yard or anywhere that we can, as just to draw attention to the plight, and because I think a lot of people just don't understand that we're still isolated from loved ones. So if anybody knows of a location in Texas, they did it last fall, and they did people's front yards. A couple were rural, so maybe it was more of a field. But anyway, if somebody has a location, it doesn't have to be a high traffic location. The intent is to be in Springfield on the 12th, and then do somewhere the downstate area for a bit, and then work our way north so that we're not up north, not in the Chicago, Rockford area until it's a little bit warmer up there.
And it could be a business. I mean, if you know a business that will let us do it too, any way we can get somewhere to put signs, we'll take it. The more they're visible as this bill hopefully makes its way from the Rules Committee to a subcommittee to the House, we need the more visualization we can get, and the more people that are asking questions, the better chance we have of getting this bill to pass.
I meant to say that a minute ago. So the legislative bill, I think last week we said that we thought it would have a number by this week, but as far as I know, it does not have a number yet. That's not a huge surprise. I don't think these things just take forever and a day, it seems like, but we haven't heard anything negative. So I guess no news is good news right now. It's still in rules, and
No,
there's every expectation it will move on.
oh, I was gonna ask who was working with Senator Jill on it, because the deadline for bills for the Senate was last Friday. And I'd been kind of monitoring it, and it never came up.
They knew the date, so yes, it was submitted when it needed to be, and she said it was at her colleague Joe said that she had not heard back, but it was in LBR, which is Legislative Bureau.
Legislative Research Bureau.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Both
I could-
Jill and Joe both have said that they'll let us know immediately when they have that number,
All right.
and then we'll pass that on. So we're just in this waiting game.
Our next meeting will be,
March 4th.
At 9 a.m.
Hopefully by next
And-
week, we have some answers about a lot of things.
Yeah, so for
We-
anybody new, the future meetings, like the next evening meeting will be in 2 weeks. So the second and fourth Thursday is in the evening, and the first and third Thursday is in the morning. We meet again in the evening. It will be
The night before we go to Springfield.
the night before the rally, yeah. So by then, hopefully, there's been lots of yellow envelopes mailed, and we have a nice weather forecast, and we're planning on rallying in Springfield.
Yes.